Hello everyone, welcome to your 14th, I believe, QB64 tutorial. And in this tutorial, as I promised, we will be going over how to create a sweet casino slot machine. So let's get started. Now first we're going to have to declare some variables. We'll have to declare, of course, how much money you have, so dim money as integer. Next we have to declare how much money you want to bet, so dim, I'm just going to call this bet money as integer. And then we're going to have to declare a scoring system to keep track of how much money you will receive. So dim, I'm just going to call the score as integer. And now I'm going to give it a space because now I'm going to be declaring some strings. And so dim slot, I'm just going to call this slot 1 as string because this is what's going to appear in the slot machine. It's going to be either a $ or an X to represent like what the actual slot on the machine is. You can make it a lot fancier if you want to. Dim slot 2 as string, and we're just going to have 3 slots since it's just a tutorial. Dim slot 3 as string. And so now we're good to go. We're first going to go ahead and print out welcome to casino slots. You can call it whatever you want without the typos, gosh. And now we will input how much money do you want to bet. Actually, I'm going to put a nice little colon right there, and we're going to save this to the variable bet money. And before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and set money by default to equal 20. So the user will start off with $20. And also, I want the user to not be able to bet more money than he has. And so I'm going to put do. Hold on one moment. Here we go. Can't use a down arrow for that. Loop until bet money is less than or equal to money. And so if we're just going to go ahead and test this out real quick. So keep in mind that the user started out with $20. So it's going to print welcome to casino slots. How much money do you want to bet? $199. It doesn't work. $5. It works. And I'm just going to go ahead and put a nice little spacer right here, print a blank line, and then I'm going to go ahead and print you have, and then I'm going to put money dollars, and that's going to say you have $20, because we're going to keep on printing this until the game ends. So it's going to be like you have $20, you have $5, etc. So now we're going to have to go ahead and take what the user betted and increase it based off the randomization. And so we're going to have to randomize our timer, randomize timer, and we're going to have, let me look and see what I got. Actually, we're going to have to go ahead and declare, so I like to call them junk variables because we're not really using them to display anything. We basically have to have them to keep track of some information that the user won't know. Dim x as integer, dim y as integer, and now I'm going to go ahead and dim z as integer. And these integers will hold the random number that the computer comes up with. And so we're going to have x equals RND times, we're going to be a number from 1 to 3. You can change it based on your preference. 2 plus 1. Y equals RND times 2 plus 1. And z is going to equal RND times 2 plus 1. And now that we have our variables declared, x, y, and z, we're going to have to create some effects based off these variables. And so if x equals 2, basically any number from 1 to 3, if it equals that specific number, so it has a 1/3 of a chance of having this possibility, then we're going to have slot 1 equal, and we're going to have it equal the dollar sign because that's what it's going to display. And then we're going to have the score equals score plus 1. And so the score is going to be increased. And then else, if it's not equal to x, if x is not equal to 2, then we're going to go ahead and, here I'll put it on the same line as else, score, actually just going to put slot 1 equals x. The reason why I'm not going to put score there because it's just going to completely ignore score, which is exactly what I want. And if. So let me just go over this line of code. If x equals 2, it has a 1/3 of a chance of equaling 2, then slot 1 is going to equal the dollar sign, so it's going to display a dollar sign, and score equals score plus 1, so the score is going to increase. Else, slot 1 is going to equal x, so it's going to display a big fat x. And so we're going to do the same for our other variables. So if y equals 2, then slot 2 equals, of course, the dollar sign, and the score is going to be increased by 1 equals score plus 1. Sorry about my slow typing, I'm just kind of tired. Else, slot 2 equals x. Then we're going to go ahead and end our if statement, and lastly we're going to have to do it for the z, and make sure you have your slot 1 correspond to your x, your slot 2 correspond to your y, because I had a problem with that once and it took me like an hour to figure out what I did wrong. It's a very stupid mistake to make. If z equals 2, then slot 3 equals the dollar sign. Where's it at? There it is. I'm sorry, this is embarrassing trying to find it on the keyboard. Score equals score plus 1. Whoops, I accidentally, score equals 1, score equals score plus 1. Gotta watch out for those typos. And now, else, slot 3, see that's a very easy error to make, equals x. And that if statement. And now we're going to have to determine how much money the user will gain. So, if score equals 2, oh, gotta put then, not 32, 2, then, and we're going to have the user's money equals money plus whatever they bet times 2. And if. So if the user bets $5 and so $5 is thus subtracted from his money, it's going to multiply that by 2, so money equals money plus 10 rather than 5. And so we're going to increase it for if score equals 3. If score equals 3, then money equals money plus, not underscore, plus bet money times 3. And if, and before I forget, I'm going to run up here, and when the user inputs, after the user inputs, I'm going to go ahead and do money equals money minus bet money. That way it deducts it deducts how much he bets from the money. And so now it's looking pretty good. Now we have to have the computer display what he has. So we're going to have the computer print slot 1 and then semicolon, we're going to add a little space, then semicolon slot 2, add a little space, and then slot 3. Whoa, what happened? Expected operator. Whoops, accidentally put a space after 3, or before 3, I mean. And that looks pretty good. Let's go back up our code, and lastly we have to make sure it loops. Like it keeps looping until all the money is gone. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start a loop right here where it tells us how much money we have. Do loop until money is less than or equal to 0. So if the user runs out of money, then the program is going to end, and I'm going to go ahead and print, "You lose, you stupid loser." Yeah, I mean like that. So, okay. Let's just go over the code real quick. Nice little synopsis. Okay. Right now we have our variables declared, and we set money to equal 20 by default. It's going to print "Welcome to Casino Slots," and this is where the do loop is going to start. So it's going to print how much money you have. It's going to have the user input how much they want to bet. It's going to deduct that money that they bet from the actual money that they have. It's going to randomize the timer. It's going to set these two, I like to call them junk variables, because they're not really displaying anything. But of course they are really needed, so they're not really junk at all. But these three variables, x, y, and z, are going to hold the random number. And based on these random numbers, it's going to have the slot equal either a $sign or an x. And it's going to, if the x equals 2, which is a 1 out of 3 chance, then the score is going to increase. And the score is going to have 3 chances to increase. And here's where we have the effects of our scores increasing, what the score is being set to, and the effect of that score. So if score equals 2, then the money will be increased by this amount, and if score equals 3, then the money will be increased by this amount. And then it's going to print, of course, what the slot's going to look like, a $sign, X, whatever, and it's going to keep looping until your money is less than or equal to 0. And when it's done looping, when the user is lost, it's going to print out, "You lose, you stupid loser." And last but not least, of course, we're just going to have to check for your errors, check to make sure you have no typos, because that's very important. And when you feel that you have nothing wrong, go ahead and run your program. So let me drag this so you can see. "Welcome to Casino Slots. You have $20. How much do you want to bet?" I'm just going to go ahead and try 99. Nope. And so let's try $5. You have $30, because if it is $3 then the score is going to equal 3, and if score equals 3, it's going to increase your money by whatever you bet times 3. And so that's how that works. And how much money do you want to bet? Let's do 2 XXX. You have $34. Now that's not right, so I'm just going to have to go see what I did wrong. Okay, I just saw what I did wrong. Now, this may be a little difficult to explain, but let me break it to you very simple. When it runs through this line of code, score plus 1, score equals score plus 1, score equals score plus 1, score equals score plus 1, hypothetically, let's say that your score is equal to 3. And so it's going to run through this line of code, and then it's going to loop, and it's going to go back up here. However, your score still equals 3, and we don't want that at all. And so one simple way to do this is, right before you do anything, we're going to set our score to equal 0. So score equals 0. And so, little lesson, whenever you're using a do loop and you have temporary variables that are going to hold a different experience each time you loop, you have to reset your variables. Okay? So if we go ahead and run our program now, "Welcome to Casino Slots. Let's bet $3. Alright, so we have $23. Let's go ahead and bet $5. We have $18 because we didn't win that one. And you see, now we have a different experience every time we loop through it. And let's go ahead and do $4. We have $22. And let's go ahead and bet all of our money. And we lost all of it because we didn't win. And then it goes, "You lose, you stupid loser." And then press any key to continue. Now notice that we have all of this mess on our screen. If we keep winning, it's going to be pretty difficult to read. So one simple way to fix this, press any key to continue. Go up to where you have your input right here, and type CLS. And what CLS does is short for clear screen, and it does exactly what it sounds like. It clears the screen. And so every time we hit how much money we want to bet, it's going to clear the screen. And so if we run our application, how much money do you want to bet? 5. And it's going to clear the screen, and it's going to give us our casino status right here. You have $25. How much money do you want to bet? 6, I guess. And then it clears the screen, and it shows our new status. And even if you type in a wrong answer, like 444, so it's going to clear the screen again, and give you the option to give an amount again. So you can keep doing this. It's going to clear the screen until you type in a valid answer, and it's going to give you your state. And now we can go ahead and enter one more, and I'm just going to go ahead and try to lose here. And I lost. It clears the screen. It says, "You lose, you stupid loser." So we're going to go ahead and end our program. And that is how you create a casino slot machine. If you play through this, you will notice that this is a very easy game, but you can go ahead and add your own code to this basic skeletal structure of a casino slot machine and make it hard. And once we get into Visual Basic, you can add graphics to this, and it's going to look really cool in Visual Basic, and you can give it to your friends, they can play it, and you're going to be the popular kid at school. So, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you liked this episode in any capacity, or if this was helpful to you, do click like, share this with your friends, subscribe, and I promise more videos will be here to come, more games and fun little stuff, and they'll keep getting more and more complex. We'll be making RPGs and video games and shooters, and it's going to be really cool. So tune in for next episode where I'll be teaching you a new concept. So, hope you liked this video. My name is Zachary, and I bid you farewell.